Okay, it looks like we're live here with on the Slim Nation 101 experience. Hello, everybody. Welcome. And let's see if you can hear this. Um, what was that? Oh, that's just an announcement. But anyway, let me take that off the screen and see if you can hear this. Don't know if that's coming clear, but anyway, just wanted to come up here and say hello to you all here live on the YouTube channel, the Slim Nation 101 Experience. Haven't been here in a while, but we are here. And just want to sort of come back and start some more interviews here on the one on ones experience. I really enjoy this platform I have. Really enjoy all the platforms I have. You know, if you're familiar with Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and of course I have the Slim and Shona, our take on it. That's the name of our platform on YouTube as well. And also I have Papa and Zuri podcast, the Papa and Zuri podcast, which I do with my granddaughter. So that's now a new channel on YouTube, and we just have a few videos up there now. But she just finished her last day of school, so the summer we should be putting up some more if I can catch her because she's a very active little girl at 8 years old. Her mother keeps her involved in quite a few activities, which is good. You have to expose your children to whatever's out there for them to be exposed to. Positive exposure to swimming, to and she well, I'm naming some of the things she's involved in: swimming, karate, ballet. She has been involved in, and it just keeps her busy. And you have to keep those young uh, children busy, keep their minds active, and you never know some of those things that they're involved with now. They may never uh, do again, but at least they've been exposed to it, and it gives them an opportunity to choose or to have experienced a lot of things, and it will help them later on in life, figure out what they want to do. And even if it's something different from what they have experienced, all these activities, some of those activities, you put them all together, they take a little bit from each one of the things they've been involved with and can incorporate it into whatever they're doing now, even if they become a lawyer or a doctor. All those things that they've done as a young child or have experienced or had the opportunity to experience in some way, yeah, can help them later in life by picking a few things from each one of the uh, activities they were involved in. And you never know, one of those activities might be their life uh, uh, occupation. You might grow up and be a karate expert or a karate teacher or open a karate school or be a ballet dancer or a world class Olympian swimmer. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But uh, unless you expose your kids to those things, you would never know it. And it makes them a more well rounded a person, I think, in their adulthood or in their young, in their young adulthood and in their teenage years. It just gives them just more exposure to a lot of different things, and it broadens their minds and their outlook on a lot of different things. So I applaud my daughter for keeping her busy, and her dad Philip, my daughter Jamie, and her dad Philip for keeping uh, excuse me, her busy with activities, because when they're 7 and they're around that age, 7 and 8, which she's 8, they have plenty of energy, and you have to keep it going. But anyway, people out there, how are y'all doing? How's it going for you all? How is it through some of the things that we are facing every day on the national scene, statewide, and locally? A lot of things are happening. All seems like all at once. Soon as you get adjusted to something else that you might like or dislike, here comes something else the next day that will um, a- affect us. And sometimes, a lot of people say, well, it doesn't bother me. It's not affecting me. But seems like a lot of these things that are happening now is affecting the masses in a lot of different ways, especially with the gas. I don't know many people that the gas prices is not going to affect in some way. Even those that don't drive, I mean, you're going to be affected some kind of way if you ride the bus or if you ride cabs or if you ride Uber. Those prices will go up because it takes gas to run those. So, never sit back and think that certain things that happen on any kind of level, national, state, or local, doesn't affect you, because it does in some kind of way. If it doesn't affect you directly, it affects someone in your family, someone you work with. Uh, so I'm saying this to say, we just have to be more aware of what's going on around us every day, even though it's hard to keep up. It's hard for me to keep up. I sit here with computers in front of me and still can't keep up with everything that's happening. It's almost impossible. You have to depend on the people around you in conversations. That's why it's good to have conversations with people. And I always talk about when you out somewhere and you in the public and you just happen to be waiting on something like the doctor's office or uh, downtown waiting to pay a bill or something, or to have questions at City Hall about your taxes or whatever you're down there for, and you just have to wait and you're sitting beside someone. It's nothing wrong with at first speaking. Uh, just you never know what just speaking to someone and giving them a smile, how that might affect the rest of their day. You don't know what that person is going through. You don't know how it would make you feel just having that conversation or just speaking, even if you don't have a conversation. But the conversation comes sometimes naturally, and sometimes it comes from your encouragement, just sitting down and talking to somebody and finding out that you have a lot of things in common or you have nothing in common, or you just learn something from that person that day, or just sort of loosening you up uh, and starting your day, or you know for the moment not having to think about something that you might be going through, because of your casual conversation that might not have anything to do with politics or the gas prices or anything like that, just some similarities you all might have. So just have those conversations with people. At some point, we're going to have to realize that we're all in this together, and a lot of things that's going on is affecting all of us in some kind of way, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. But, just having that communication just helps us better understand the people that, you know, in the city that we we coexist in the city, and a lot of things that affect us. We all in here together, but repeating myself. But anyway, it's just good to have those conversations with people. You never know who you might help, and wow, just trying to keep up with everything. So I hope when I start these conversations, these one-on-one conversations with people, it's going to be. We'll talk a little bit about the effects that some of the national news or some of the things that's happening with the Supreme Courts, U.S. Supreme Courts and the state Supreme Courts and the voting rights. Um, affect someone one on one. But basically, we just want to have a conversation with the people that agree to be guests on here and talk about, find out what makes them tick, and sometimes they have very good advice to pass on to people that might be watching, and just going back sometimes. I always say I'd love to go back in my guest life and see, what was what were some of the influences that they had, growing up. So uh, stay tuned for more conversations on the Slim Nation, and I hope you've been watching the Slim and Shona show that we put up here on our YouTube channel as well. We're trying to grow every day. It's and I hope people can come on here when they see this video and let me know how you grow with your channel, with your platforms that you have up there. I see so many videos, and everybody has a different way of growing their channel and trying to put all that together and see what works for me. Someone that started doing this late in life. And just trying to find a niche. And but the main thing is I'm enjoying what I do. Coming up here and just talking. Uh, I can't say that the numbers don't affect me. Not seeing the growth as fast as I would like to. But it's probably some of the things that I'm not doing and trying to figure out what's the best way to uh, get you out there to want to watch what 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 I might present with the guests I have on this particular platform, the Slim Nation One-on-Ones experience. And like I said, it's all about having a one-on-one conversation with different people from different walks of life, authors, lawyers, doctors, shipyard workers, teachers, and just have that conversation in a relaxed situation. And all of them are virtual right now. And hopefully we can have some in person conversations with people where I would go to them or meet them, or we could be at a neutral place and just sit down and have a conversation about how they feel about different issues that we have. Don't want to get too deep into politics on this particular platform. There are other platforms that I have uh, for that. Particularly Portsmouth Coffee Talk, which is uh, suspended right now. So we're trying to figure out how to come back. That's one of those shows that we've been doing that for a long time, but I want to come back and let someone else have more control there so I can have more of a concentration on the other platforms that I mentioned earlier, the ones that I just formed with my granddaughter. And I want to do that as long as I can because I want to see her growth through the uh, through the podcast that we do together. As long as she's interested in doing it, she's quite excited about it now. And the Slim and Shona show, which is called "I'll Take on It." That's you have two classmates, high school classmates that live in two different cities. states. She's in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm in Portsmouth, Virginia. And both states have some quite interesting things that has been happening politically. But we like to bring people, and there we don't get into the politics really heavy, but we like to bring people on there that have very unique and interesting stories to share with us about um, things that might have happened to them in their life that they have um, overcome. And, those stories like that are really good for us to hear. It helps us because both of us, Shona and myself, have gone through some life changing ordeals in our life. And so that's the kind of guests we like to have on here that have experienced some things or have something to share about health wise or money managing. But most of the people, if you look at our show videos, have experienced something that could have turned out another way, but they um, made it through some challenging times, just like Shona and I have. So we understand or we share some of the challenges that the people come on. And we also have a good time. We want to dedicate at least one show a month to bringing on our classmates from our high school days, which was pretty significant for us. A lot was going on in 1972 when we both graduated from a school called I.C. Narcombe in the city of Portsmouth, Virginia, which is one of the few remaining uh, it was a predominantly black high school for us to attend when we before segregation. I mean, I'm sorry, before integration. And it's only a few left within the country that are still operating as high schools. So, and Norcom, the school we attended, it happened to be one. And a lot of things was going on in 1972. I think Nixon was president, Richard Nixon, and we had a boycott our senior year to try to preserve the name and keep the school as we saw it should remain. Um, and was one of the many boycotts that students at that school had over the years to make sure that it didn't suffer the fate that a lot of the originally black high schools suffered from either closure or changing them to middle schools or elementary schools or just taking the name away. And we wanted to make sure we preserve that history. And it's one of the few high schools that has an active um, alumni association. You usually associate that with colleges, but our high school has a alumni association that has been around since the 80s and is very active in providing scholarships for the present students, graduating students, supporting the students and the teachers at the schools. And as a matter of fact, the last maybe 5 or more years, we've had tailgates that rival college tailgates, and it grows larger every year. So I don't know how we're going to continue to accommodate the large crowds that come back. But when you think about it, it makes sense. Uh, this school was, what was it? It's over 100 years old. I'll come back later with the actual dates. We have of how old the school is, but at one point, up until maybe the mid 60s, every black person in the city had to attend that school because none of the other schools were integrated. And we had four other high schools. We had Churchland High School, Craddock High School, and Woodrow Wilson High School, and later Manor High School. So, and Norfolk was the only one for all the blacks in the city to attend. So you're talking about a lot of people, alums. That so it made sense to have a high school alumni association to make sure that we continue the tradition of the school and gave people an opportunity to support the present students there and all the different programs that the alumni does. So, uh, you know, we're quite proud of that. So I encourage you, if you attended Norcom, or even if you didn't know your children attended, or you just want to support, um, it's a website on go on the IC Norcom Alumni Association, and you can pull up the website and just check it out and support if you want to support, because the money goes, like I said earlier, to scholarships and different events we hold. They have a big parade every year during homecoming. So, yeah, support. But anyway, that's what Shona and I were from that 1972 class, and we decided to do uh, um, a show, and which we do it live on YouTube and Facebook, and then we share it to other platforms like Instagram and and what's the other one? Had a senior moment there. Instagram and TikTok, and we're looking to share it with some other platforms as we go along. We want to do it Spotify, and trying to figure out how to make that happen. So we can have our podcast on Spotify as well. So yeah, so stay tuned for the Slim Nation one-on-ones experience to come back with students. And by the way, the Slim Nation, the Slim and Shona show, called I'll Take on It, is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. And we do try to accommodate our guests if they are not available for that Tuesday. It's like last week we had a show on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday just to accommodate. And the Wednesday show was because our guest was from California and had just come home to California, where she's dividing her time between California and Korea. And that's a very interesting story. So go on our YouTube page and look up that story about the Korean adoptee, uh, Tracy Hewitt Hobson, and she's been on our show a few times. And she comes back periodically and gives us updates on how she is doing over in Korea, trying to trace her heritage and figure out exactly uh, who she is. Yeah. Yeah. Since she spent most of her uh, formative years here in the United States, and growing up in African American communities, and she is also Korean, Asian Korean, and so she wants to, you know, discover that side of of her family, and that's what she's doing. But taking her time and spending that time over in Korea. So watch those shows that we have her as a guest. So that's some of the things we want to do with her. So that's Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And if you watch some of our shows that are rebroadcast, just make sure you go on there and subscribe to us so you can get notifications each time we have shows, because we do have shows outside of that Tuesday uh, format that we you're going to see us every Tuesday. But we do have some other shows scheduled when necessary to accommodate the guests. And the same thing I'll do here with the Slim Nation 101s experience. You know, when we have guests, I like to have that on weekday mornings. I've been doing them at 8. I'm thinking about going to 9. It'd be between 9 and 8 because it all depends on some of the people that I have on there. Um, still work. And, to accommodate them in the morning, I might have to do it at 8, depends on their job and if they uh, are available to do it at 9 and 9 fits their schedule better than 8. Or if I have to go to 10, but I want to try to get to a more consistent time and hopefully um, what I would do if they can't make the 8 o'clock, we will broadcast it and then make sure we show it at the 8 o'clock. So you'll know exactly when you can find the Slim Nation one-on-ones experience shows on YouTube. I would like to have it expand to more than just one day. Just like now, I'll come on every morning with something. It might not be long, it might just be a half an hour. If it's just me, just to come on to make sure I'm consistently up here. And those other times when we have guests, that might be no more than an hour, depending on their time frame. But usually we would need about an hour because you'll be surprised how fast a half hour goes by when you're trying to cover a lot of information on the guests. So look forward to. I'm trying to get myself in a working mode to be on every morning with something, um, or at least 3 mornings a week. Maybe that sounds a little bit better. The Monday, the Tuesday, the Thursday, and maybe Friday. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out at least 3. And if it's every morning, like I said, it's always something to come on and talk about, give an affirmation. If I don't have guests and just talk about, and might involve you coming on, you know, where I can bring you on or somebody at the spirit of the moment to come on and share some information with us. But I'll try to be prepared to have something every day. And I promise you, it won't be this long. It won't be this long of me just talking. But I have to come on here every once in a while and remind the myself for one thing, and the people that might be interested in watching the Slim Nation one-on-ones experience that I'm still here. Portsmouth Coffee Talk is going to still be something that you can look forward to because we really need at least one of the platforms to make sure that it's dedicated to politics, national, statewide, and local. Uh, because it's something every day with that, and I think it's important that we talk. I just want to make sure that when we have the conversations, most of them are solution-based conversation, like what can we do about the things that we see that's going on that we don't agree with or we don't like, and what can we do to make it better? What can we do to help those that might be harmed by some of the things that are going on, or some of the laws that are being passed, and that's the show. We can really get deep into how people really feel and bringing on people that are involved in the day to day workings of politics and just to keep us informed of what's going on. We really need to be aware now, especially with all these voting rights being pushed back, and it seems to be, something. And you hear this all the time with the people that say that they don't see the need to vote and don't think it's that important. And then you hear the reason, or people saying, if it wasn't that important, why do you think that it's a certain faction out here fighting so hard to make it more difficult, and not not easier, making it more difficult to vote, and with all these district changes, in the voting system. Uh, why is that so important? Why is it becoming increasingly more difficult for people to keep up with where they vote, what they need to bring with them to vote? And you see a lot of this going on now. And, you know, we just have to be aware of that, because that's uh, one of the rights that we have that that was a long time coming. And it's a powerful right that we have, and being able to vote and being able to put people in position to represent us. But if we put them in there and then just let them go for themselves, the next thing you know, we see some of them just enriching themselves, and getting to a point where they don't feel like they need to even listen to us, because they'll get to a certain point and say, okay, well, I can walk away now, especially on the national level. They can walk away and be paid for the rest of their lives because they served on the national level of political office. And, you know, we, if we don't put the right people in, and make sure we keep up and be informed and knowledgeable about who we put in there and what to expect out of them, and to be able to tell them this is what we expect and hold them accountable, whether you like them or not. You still have to hold them accountable once you get there, because they're working there for you. And if they get there and they just do what they want to do, or listen to the big donors rather than the big numbers that put them there, then that's a problem. That's a problem that we need to be talking about every day. We need to be addressing. We need to be making sure people know uh, their rights, and their rights, and making sure that it's less difficult for them to vote. But even when they vote, they put the right people in, and it's just a big thing, and everything coming at everybody at once. Is designed by design. I believe, by design, to keep us confused and out of sync. With something coming every day. Then you don't know which way to turn, and next thing you know, it's voting time, and it's primaries have passed you by, that you didn't realize, oh, it was a primary. Oh, I was so busy paying attention to the news talking about Iran and Israel and China and Russia. It was a primary yesterday. I didn't. How did I miss that? Because the news was concentrating on so many other things, and we have to know how to separate our need for entertainment news, who's getting the voice. That's good to know, but we have to know how to put that in its place, and prioritize what's really important, is in these news cycles, because you see it intertwine, and you see, one minute they're talking about the war, and the next minute they're talking about uh, Cardi B, and I mean, well, who's getting divorced and who's suing who in the entertainment world, and who slapped who, you know. Um, And I like to know those things. It's entertaining to see that. It takes your mind off the heavy stuff for a while. But, we just have to realize what's important, especially at certain times of the year. And it should be important all times of the year. But when we put more emphasis on the entertainment news over the news that really affects our pocket, that really affecting the gas prices, that's really affecting whether we are going to war, really affecting how much money is being spent on war, how much money is being passed around between the wealthy, and we have people down here going without. It's crazy when you see numbers like 1 billion or 1776 billion dollars being put in a fund for people to apply for because they've been uh, treated wrong. I mean, and but they attacked, the January 6 people, and but billions of dollars, and you have people sleeping on the street, or you cutting back some health care. People have family members that have to pay an enormous amount of money just to go and have their dialysis because the insurance is not covering it. In order for it to be covering, they have to get rid of everything that they own and almost have nothing. So Medicare or Medicaid can cover it. Come on, man. You know, y'all see what's happening. Y'all see what's going on. All this money being floating around. And excuse me. And watch how casually they talk about billions of dollars. Billions. You know how far $1 billion can go in one of these states? So take the state of Virginia. Put $1 billion into the state treasury. I mean, it will go fast because, but $1 billion will go a long way before it runs out if it's used properly and if it's used for the people that really need it. And most of the time, when you have these funds like that or these opportunities for money to go here and go there, it usually goes to the people that don't really need it, but they, the rich always want to be richer. So the companies that they own, you know, uh, everything that they're involved with, well, I'll apply for that too because my company does this and does that. But, there's people sleeping on the street. And some people will say, well, there's some of them out there by choice. Not many. Some people are forced to people. Look how many people that once they get to a certain point in their life where they've overcome some things and they tell you about where they were at one point, not because they weren't working hard. Some of those people are homeless and working every day, or houseless and working every day. Even their working everyday salary, they cannot afford to have a home to pay for everything that it takes to for home ownership. Well, it doesn't take but one setback to just throw everything off. One major operation where the insurance doesn't cover everything, and a lot of it has to come out of their savings in order to to pay for life saving a life saving operation. Those are some of the things that can set you back. I know that happened to me. You know, and if you're not prepared, you just have to bite the bullet if you want to live. You know, the opportunity is there for you to live, but it costs at a cost. And not we're not always prepared for that cost. Okay, thanks for watching, and we're gonna sign off for right now, and talk to you again another time as we kind of figure out what we want to do with these platforms. And we're already doing the Slim and Shona platform, but we want to, as I've been talking about, come back strong with the Slim Nation 101's experience. And please stay tuned for the Paw and Zuri uh, podcast with myself and my granddaughter. Uh, with all those things I talked about, how the heavy things that's going on, and we have to make some room for some lighter subjects. And I can't think of another way to really relax than to have a show with my granddaughter who is the future of what's going on now. And we just want to make sure that she's prepared and that we do all we can do now to make sure that they are not behind the eight ball before they get started because of what's going on now. We have to think about the future because we're not going to be here for forever. I've lived longer than I will see going into the future now. So I want to do all I can uh, from this standpoint, and it's always something we can do. Always something we can do. Some people think it's hopeless. And what can I do? I'm not in the position to run for office, or why would I vote? Because they're not going to listen to me. But it's always something that individuals can do. And even if it's something like this, having platforms like this where we communicate, the more we communicate, the more people who watch might learn something or might feel inspired by the guests we have, or certain things that people say, or information that they share about their personal lives might you know influence or inspire somebody to get up off the couch and don't see things as uh, hopeless, because you've been through some challenging days. A lot of us have been through some challenging days and had to just rise up. Sometimes with help, most of the time with help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help when you need it. It's most of the time it's people out there, friends, family, or often strangers that will offer a helping hand, and there's no shame in that, asking for help. And then when you get to that point, you help somebody. You know, that's the way we survive through whatever we can we face. I mean, in this world, it's hard to find the words sometimes because it just seems so crazy. And I can imagine how some people feel, because I feel it some days just waking up and want to start a good day and see some crazy stuff on the news that makes you go shake your head and say, "Wow, I want to go back to bed. I want to go back to sleep and dream about something that's pleasant than to wake up to craziness, to the Constitution being ignored, laws being ignored." I don't want to get into uh, everything. It'll be a platform, it'll be a show for that to talk about that. But just pay attention to what's going on around you, uh, especially locally. If you think about what can I do, it's definitely something you can do on the local level by working for candidates, uh, being involved. If I guess a lot of people see, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. Locally here, our city council meetings, you don't see them crowded or a lot of people there, and I hope that because now a lot of the council meetings are televised, uh, that's where people are watching because they can watch it at any time. But some of those meetings you have to see live, and hopefully they'll start doing the actual meetings live. I think they do the work session live, but the meetings are not live per se. And the people that can't make the meetings and watch from home, you they're working on trying to get the system where people watching at home probably can uh, participate in the meetings. I think during COVID, they had a setup like that because they had to, because we couldn't go to the meetings. It was a lot of flaws in that system and that need to be worked out where people can participate and speak to at public hearing issues from their home. That's a big undertaking to have be able to do that without having to actually go there. But the best thing is to attend the meetings or know what issues will come up at a meeting. And all you have to do is go to the Portsmouth website and look and see what issues are coming up at the next meeting. And if it's something that you want to address, then you can attend the meeting and you have an opportunity to speak during the public hearings. Now, the issue has been, do the elected officials actually listen to you? I've seen some times where a lot of them will respond to the speaker. I've seen some times where it's no response to the speaker, especially when I thought the speaker uh, made a good presentation and probably should have been some uh, really food for thought on the elected officials' part to either reconsider um, that public hearing issue if it wasn't something that was pressing, then maybe push it down the road or you know maybe reconsider their vote because a lot of times the council people they might know what the issue is and they've been informed by the staff and that's what they have to go on. So their vote might be a certain way unless a citizen comes up and makes a good point that might, right at that moment, make them change their mind. And I've seen that happen on occasion, not too often, but at least you've had a chance to speak your piece and make a good point. I know it can be frustrating if you really have done your homework and go in there and say, well, I think this is something that's going to affect me, or I think it's something you should look at. And nobody says anything to you. They just say, next person. And that can be frustrating after you have really put in the time and effort to come down there for one thing and to research uh, the issue on that public hearing item, and you get no response. And then uh, you get no response. All you get is a vote, a unanimous vote. Uh, like you said, nothing. But that's the politics of it. But I think if there are more people coming down there, it's kind of hard when one person uh, is in opposition of something, and you know the council have gotten a really compelling presentation from the staff about this is the way to go. It's kind of hard for them to not go with that unless they have more people that might think or speaking up, uh, either for even looking for questions or clarification of what's going to take place with that public hearing item, or reconsideration of the way they might vote. So it takes that kind of, you know, full council chambers in order for the politicians or the elected officials to really pay attention, because they see, wow, there's a lot of people that are concerned about this, and maybe I should take another look at this, or maybe we should question uh, the staff about the validity of their recommendations. Yeah, so but we'll see, But let's don't get to the point where uh, we be at a point where we have no power, or, even with our vote, because you can see what's happening. You can see how how power can corrupt some people into doing things if they fear losing that power, and that power is creating financial rewards for them. That's why they want to hold on to it. But it's a lot of issues that are people issues that need to be addressed. And that's not always the case. Local, statewide, and national. And that's why holding elected officials accountable is so important during the time before they vote, not fussing and complaining after they vote, because by that time it's on the way to be law, or to be, you know, so it will be done, like they said in what's that movie, Ten Commandments. I was paraphrasing there though, but so people, uh, I know there was a lot of talking, and I'm gonna try to break it up into shorts, so you won't have to sit through the whole conversations I had, but you can break it down. I can break it down into the shorts, and hopefully that'll be something that you might pay attention to, or lead you to come to my channel. Come to the other channels we have. Uh, eh, Later this summer, you'll see the resurgence of Portsmouth Coffee Talk, total political platform. Uh, we just want to make sure we come with it right, and have the right people in place to help me run it, where I can focus more on the other platforms. But I cannot let Portsmouth Coffee Talk go away completely because it's been around so long, and I think it's been something that has been a benefit to a lot of people, and it can do a lot of good here locally and on the national scene. So, Portsmouth Coffee Talk will be back. I got frustrated there for a while because it was a lot on me trying to do all the different platforms, but I've come to the conclusion that uh, I wanted to continue, but I have to put it in someone else's hands that really are really into uh, committed to sharing the information and and it's keeping up with what's going on in politics on the national scene as well as the local scene. So uh, it's probably going to be quite a few guest hosts, and hopefully, so one person won't be committed to every show. We can have different people coming on at different times uh, when their schedule allows because a few people doing it every week uh, can be burnout, and people have other things to do, and but it's going to be always something every week that we'll be able to talk about that's going on in the political scene. So we're gonna try to put together a few uh, guest hosts that'll be willing to come on occasionally and have certain times when they come on and do their thing politically, and I'll just kind of be in the background. You won't even see me on screen, but I'll be in the background doing whatever I can to help them, and hopefully they can take over completely. You know, but don't forget about the Slim Nation One on Ones experience coming back, and don't forget about the Slim and Shona show. I'll take on it that's currently going, and look out for Papa and Zuri, the Papa and Zuri podcast uh, this summer as well, if we can keep up with Zuri and her busy schedule. All right, take care, everybody, and can't find my theme song, but I'll just go off. I'll see you, and okay.